What's up, YouTube? I'm back and we're at 1K subscribers. I know a lot of people are probably like 1K in 5 years. That's crazy, but it's a dedicated 1K. 1K that has been through a journey and knows the trials and tribulations that we have both overcome. I did promise myself that I wasn't going to start making videos until I hit the 1K, and now we're here, and I have a newfound inspiration for every direction in which I want to go. Now I really feel like I'm sitting on a gold mine. I had a friend help me create this YouTube channel, and she would always tell me like, you're sitting on a gold mine, you're sitting on a gold mine. And in the moment, I did not think I was. I was like, I don't think I'm sitting on a gold mine. I'm still struggling. Today is going to take us back to the start of the journey. And this video is going to be all about the hard lessons that I learned in my 20s on the journey to becoming a photographer. Now, if you have been following me on the internet in general for a long time, I have been shooting since I was like 18, and I started like shooting and had a job at 19. So I want to talk about like the 10 years from 20 to 30. I am now 33. My birthday is coming up soon, so I will soon be 34, and I've been reflecting. I think everybody around their birthday starts to reflect, start to think about like where they're going, where they've been. So I want to talk about the mistakes and the hard lessons that I learned in my 20s and ways that you can prevent that, because we learn from each other. We don't go make the mistake. We're wise over here, okay? We're mastering our gaze over here. So stick around for the video. I will share 5 ways that, I will be sharing 5 lessons that I learned in my 20s that you guys do not have to go through. Okay, the number one hardest lesson I think that I learned is going to be saying yes to everything. Like, it isn't the fast track to success like you think it's going to be. In the beginning, you feel like, yes, I need to say yes to everything. And I have made a short video on saying yes to the challenge. The challenge is different. Saying yes to the challenge is different than saying yes to just any old photo shoot that crosses your desk. Okay, you want to make sure that you are saying yes to things that are aligned with your future, aligned with your vision, and aligned with how you want to be seen later on in life. You know, how you want clients to view you later on in life. For example, you're saying yes to a lot of event photography, but you really want to be in editorial work and you haven't dove into that. You need to get into that lane. And I hate to be that kind of person that like talks about niching down, but niching down is how you do the things that you really want to do. Like, it's really how you get into the lane that you see yourself in. So saying no is better than saying yes, because you don't want to overextend yourself. Which leads me into the conversation of overcommitting and that becoming something that is draining to you. If you're constantly shooting things that you don't enjoy, or just overexerting energy in lanes that you just don't want to be in, you will be losing your creative energy and you will not be able to fuel that in the direction that you really see yourself going. A personal example for me spreading myself too thin, I want to take it all the way back to Chicago. I think Chicago stories are probably where the hardest lessons were learned. That city, love it down, but I do need to heal from the trauma I faced in that city. And it was all due to me. It was hard lessons due to myself. However, I remember I had one client, and I used to take the Amtrak to this client. Like, they had their own, I can mention them because I don't think they're online. They're way older, but they had their own designer suit brand. And I remember them being a paying client. And that was like my key thing at the time. And this particular age, I believe I was like 23, 24, and I think I've told this story before, but I was working with this client and I would get on the Amtrak and I would take the train all the way like south, like past the hundreds. And I'm not from Chicago, so like I want to say I was in Indiana, okay, at this point, but not so much. So I'm all the way out here. They would pick me up at the train. Amazing house, amazing people, very great people, okay? But I was overextending myself because I'm going this extra mile. I remember I would be there till late. I wouldn't come back into the city until like 11 o'clock. I remember one time I completely had a breakdown. I had a shoot out there. It was all of these people that I was shooting, and they kept saying, let's keep going, let's keep going. And I was like, you know what? This is it. I didn't even know I was going to be shooting 10 to 20 people, and I'm over this at this point. It's beyond the pay amount that you were asking, and it's time for me to go. And can you imagine me being like 23, like young, like I had already been working in the business, so I had a full-time job, but I think at this point I didn't work at that job anymore, and I was working in restaurants and doing it part-time. So I was just like, I can't do this. I gotta go back to the city. This is too much. This is way past the $300 rate. It was probably like $300, like maybe $250 at the most. And I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I remember getting on that train and crying all the way home, talking to my grandma. And she was like, yeah, you just gotta push for more. You gotta, stand your grounds and like really have your autonomy in how you want things to show up and the way you are doing your work. And that was a turning point for me. I think I went to the corner bakery. The corner bakery was like the spot where I would transform who I was. I have a friend, Xavier. I want to tell him to watch this video, but he knows me for the corner bakery, because in Chicago the corner bakery is my spot. But I would like manifest there. I would get on Pinterest and I would redefine who I was. So an example of it just like backfiring, like being overly committed to something that was in a direction that I wasn't even trying to go. Like I was not trying to even though now that I look back on it now, it was more like a campaign, but it was just so all over the place. And at that time, I would find myself in sets because I wasn't at that point professional completely. Like I was still learning how I wanted to show up. And I will say that a lot of people at that moment were taking advantage of me. Like I was really good at what I did, but I didn't really know like what it was like to be on a set or to rent a studio or to really have the authority to tell people like this is how it should go. I was kind of just like, okay, yeah, I'll show up, I'll take pictures. And yeah, it was backfiring on me. It was really working against me, and it was working in favor for the client more so because they were getting over. Next major lesson is going to be that protecting your energy is just as important as protecting your time. Protect your time. Protect your energy, protect your time. Because if you're constantly hustling and you're constantly shooting and you're just not taking a break, you're going to find a reason to get in a funk. And I have a recent experience with this, and this was not even in my 20s. This was like at the brick of my 30s. And I think it's because in my 20s, I went so hard. Okay. From 20 to 30, I can say that I really tried to take it there. Like I've really tried to push my creative bounds. Like how far can I reach? How high can I climb? I think at 30, I kind of like crashed out a little bit. And that was my first experience with creative burnout. I was working on building this channel. I was working on shooting. I was trying to get commercial jobs. I was doing a lot of different things. And I remember one day just being fed up with everybody. I was on the phone with a friend and I was just like, everybody's annoying me. But it wasn't everybody annoying me. It was just that I needed to breathe and I needed to take a break. I needed to walk away from the camera. I needed to sit the camera down. you can really lash out on a lot of people that don't deserve it. Like most of the time, people are super excited to work with you, especially if your work is amazing. They've seen you or witnessed your growth. They're excited to see what it's like to be in the presence of you and create with you. And if you are in burnout mode, and you don't want to be bothered, people are going to look at you completely different. So make sure that you are finding ways to really not just focus on the art, but actually like channel the energy that you're working with. Like, being a creative is a different experience. I know that now at 33. You have to find ways to channel your energy, because sometimes your energy is high. It's so high. You have so many things that you want to do, and you have so many different inspirations, and you have to get them out. Then you have days where you just don't feel that inspiration at all. And you're like, well, where did that go? And I think what helped me a lot, I started running in 2019. Thank God for Nike. Thank God for Nike LA. Shout out to y'all. But I started running with Nike LA, and I think that opened my mind to, okay, I need to figure out ways to incorporate my physical body and not just be grind, but actually like find ways to flow my energy, channel it into different avenues in life, not just photography, but other things. So I started running. I'm really not the biggest fan of running, honestly, but now I'm at the stage of Pilates. Shout out to Rhoda, my Pilates trainer. You guys can follow her too. I'll link her channel below. So I've been on this journey of just like figuring out what works for me and my body. And I think every creative should tap into that. And that is a major way to protect your energy, but also learn how to work with it. It's not just protecting it, it's learning how to work with it. And these are really, really good tactics to recharge your body so that your work doesn't suffer. Okay, so the next thing is a major key, and that is learning the power of boundaries with clients and overall collaborations, okay? So that goes from test shoots to friends that are creative to the client that you've been working with for centuries and eons, and you haven't updated anything with them about as far as like rates or anything. This is important. Because we tend to get comfortable. We tend to get comfortable in life with a lot of things. We tend to get comfortable. Oops, I don't know if you guys can hear that. We tend to get comfortable in life with a lot of things. We get comfortable with people. And when we get comfortable with people, we don't think that they shift and change in their life. We don't think that anything is changing until somebody says something. And I think learning boundaries and maturing with your clients, especially if you work with them over time for a long time, it's really important to check in and let them know where you are in life. And I've learned this because it could either go left or it could go right. You know, either they're going to like the new boundary or they're just not going to rock with you anymore. It's because we're all like growing, but it's not linear. We're all growing in like, you know, crazy ways. Some of us are going up the ladder. Some of us are going down. Some of us are going in a circle and flipping around. So it's like being transparent with everyone around you and letting them know that the bandwidth and the capacity that you have at that space in your life. And it doesn't mean that you'll never work with them again. It just means maybe right now is not a good time for us to be working together, a good time for us to be collaborating. Or maybe it is. Maybe you have open availability and you're like, okay, where are you? What space are you in? I know when I reach out to people, I'm always like, how have you been? Are you open to doing this? Always ask if people are open to doing something, especially if it's not offering money, or if it is offering money and it's a low amount. Allow them to choose. Allow people to choose is what I'm learning, because sometimes when you just assume or you force things, and I've had this happen to me where things are just kind of like thrown, okay, this is it. It's no negotiation. It just is what it is. And it's kind of like, this is not what I signed up for. Because normally when somebody asks you to do something one time, it's going to turn into a pattern. You have to think about like human nature